I'm inspired. Oh, got it. Yeah, that's it. So that can be inspiring for us. And of course, one of the other Kalyana Mitras we often overlook is ourselves. We can be very good Kalyana Mitras for ourselves, spiritual friends. And within each of us, there is that of the wise person and the foolish. So this is important too. And as I mentioned in my Dhamma Desana this morning, you know, each of us has to be our own refuge, become our own refuge, because we're the ones that have to do the work. And also, it's good to, they're not Kalyana Mitras, but often negative examples can be great teachers for us, can't they? And I know Aikema used to say, an alcoholic or a drug addict is probably the best person, a reformed alcoholic or drug addict, even an unreformed actually, can be the best teacher of the dangers of alcohol and drugs. Whereas a teetotaler may not be so convincing, you know, you can see the negative qualities for yourself. One of the things that I think is so important with Kalyana Mitras is what qualities do we need to meet the Kalyana Mitra, to make to make that connection. And of course, we have that saying, I think it's from Zen probably, when the teacher is ready, when the student is ready, the teacher appears. And so this is, I think this is quite true. We have to be, you know, open. And the qualities we need, of course, first of all, is openness to learn. And we're not always open. So that is the right occasion. And when we're open, we have to, openness means we're not coming from strongly held views and opinions and all this sort of thing. Like, I think Buddha uses this, like a cup or a pot that is full. How can you put anything in it? It's not possible. But also at the same time, when I mentioned being open to learn, we shouldn't be gullible. We should also know what's wholesome, what's unwholesome, and know what's in accordance with the path. And another quality we need when we encounter or to make that connection with the Kalyana Mitra is humbleness. Not being proud and full of ourselves, not thinking we know it all, which is, that is like being a cup that's full, isn't it, really? So, and we need to be respectful, obviously, of that person's qualities, especially the ethical qualities, because a Kalyana Mitra has to have that sort of ethical quality. And to develop a sort of faith and confidence in and sincerity in about the path, about the Dhamma, and those good things that we are developing due to the Kalyana Mitra. And of course, as in every aspect of the Buddha's path, we need to bring intelligence and wisdom to have that quality in order to benefit, to learn what the Kalyana Mitra is offering, is making available. And now I just wanted to, before we start, just mention the Sangha Nusati, which this guided meditation is based on. And it's the one that it's in many places in the sutras. And this one is from the numerical discourses in the tens, worthy of gifts. And it's one that the Lord Buddha gave to Mahanama, his cousin. And so I'll read some of that. I won't read all of it because the first part is the standard recollection of the Sangha. Maybe I will, so it gives the full context. So is that, I'm just seeing a light on my face and I can see a reflection from the sun. I hope that's okay. Maybe looking very pale anyway. So it starts again, Mahanama, that's the Buddha's cousin. A noble disciple recollects the Sangha thus. The Sangha of the Blessed One's disciples is practicing the good way, Supatipanna, practicing the straight way, Ujupatipanna, practicing the true way, Nyaya Patipanna, practicing the proper way, Samichi Patipanna. That is the 4 pairs of persons, the Blessed One's disciples. This 4 types of persons, the 8 types of individuals, sorry about that. This Sangha of the Blessed One's disciples is worthy of gifts, worthy of hospitality, worthy of offerings, worthy of reverential salutation, Anjali, the unsurpassed field of merit for the world. When a noble disciple recollects the Sangha on that occasion, their mind is not obsessed by lust, hatred, or delusion. On that occasion, their mind is simply straight, based on the Sangha. A noble disciple whose mind is straight gains inspiration in the meaning, gains inspiration in the Dhamma, gains joy connected with the Dhamma. When they have joy, when they are joyful, rapture arises. For one with a rapturous mind, the body becomes tranquil. For one tranquil in body feels happiness. For one feeling happiness, the mind becomes one-pointed. This is called a noble disciple who dwells in balance amid an unbalanced population, who dwells unafflicted amid an afflicted population. As one who has entered the stream of the Dhamma, they develop the recollection of the Sangha. So that's the. I think I have to move a little bit actually out of the way of the. Maybe that's better. I'm seeing there's a beam of sunlight coming through the door actually. I can't. I think it's better. Just over to the side. So this is the recollection of the Sangha, and this is what the guided meditation will be based on this evening or this afternoon. And just to make some comments, when the text talks about one whose mind is straight on that occasion, where is it? That's right. One who recollects the Sangha, on that occasion the mind is not obsessed by lust, hatred, or delusion. On that occasion their mind is simply straight based on the Sangha. And of course that's straight because it's not distorted by the defilements, the unwholesome roots, or the 5 hindrances. And when the sutra talks about the unbalanced population, of course it's referring to unbalanced by the defilements, which were always making us go up and down with the various moods, which lead to instability in the mind and not understanding the Dhamma, not seeing things as they truly are. An afflicted population, of course, this is suffering, isn't it? It just comes from the defilements and which torture us. And entered the stream is one that's at least a stream enter, a sotapanna, having attained sotapatti, or the first stage of enlightenment or higher. And so when we practice, the important part of the sutra is really that when we get, when we're recollecting the Sangha or the Kalyana Mitra, on that occasion our minds, the defilements go down, and on that occasion we can get, when we're recollecting, we can get inspiration, and then that inspiration will lead to joy connected with the Dhamma. And when we're joyful, then rapture arises. This is piti. And when we have that rapture, then the body and the mind too can become tranquil. And when there is tranquility in the body and the mind, then there is happiness, sukha. And from this happiness, then the mind can come together. That is called samadhi. And then with that samadhi, of course, one doesn't say it in the sutra, but that's the basis for developing insight and for seeing things as they truly are. So that's the, and just to mention lastly that the emotions we can develop, contemplating the Kalyana Mitta or our teachers, particularly our spiritual teachers, they're a cause for us to develop positive qualities. But some of the emotions we can develop, of course, that lead and support the development of samadhi are gratitude, joy, respect, can bring up faith, refuge, because it brings up more faith and refuge in the Buddha, Dhamma and Sangha. Because when we see a lived example, then that can really strengthen our refuge, our faith. And it can be an inspiration, bring peace and safety and security as well. It can bring up that feeling of, which is, really, isn't it? The feeling of refuge. We've found a refuge, safety and security. And of course, we can get that feeling. That's one of the feelings that comes with Maitri, with metta, bhavana, metta meditation. So now I would like to start the guided meditation, and so we can find a posture that is comfortable for us. I'm trying to dodge this light. Maybe that's better. Looks a bit. Anyway, so, and we'll be closing our eyes anyway. Please come into the present moment, and we can close our eyes to better be centered in the present moment, better to be in touch with the body in a more immediate way. And we can adjust the body to make sure that it's comfortable for the period of this meditation. And we can give attention to the head being balanced over the shoulders, and the shoulders being balanced over the hips. Just the alignment of the body, that it feels relaxed and comfortable. Now we can mentally relax the body, starting from the top of the head, around the sides of the head, back of the head, soothing and relaxing it. And moving our attention to the forehead and around the eyes, cheeks, around the mouth and chin, relaxing, soothing with this kind attention, warm attention. And moving down to the neck, all around the neck, allowing it to relax. And bringing to mind the right shoulder, starting at the neck and moving along the right shoulder. Relaxing it, letting go of the burdens of the day. And bringing to mind the right arm, starting at the top of the right arm and moving our attention down the right arm, all around, to include the elbow, the wrist, hand and fingers. Soothing it, giving our right arm a mental massage. Now bringing to mind the left shoulder, starting at the neck and moving our attention along the left shoulder, soothing it, allowing the burdens, any tension to melt away, soothing it with this kind attention. Now bringing to mind the left arm, starting at the top of the left arm and moving our attention down the left arm all around it to include the elbow, the wrist, hand and fingers, giving the left arm this mental massage. And bringing to mind the back, starting just below the shoulders and moving our attention down the back, soothing it, relaxing it. This warm, kind attention. And now we can bring to mind the front of the body, starting just below the shoulders and moving our attention down the front of the body to include the chest, diaphragm, stomach and abdomen areas, soothing and relaxing any tight areas, any areas where there's pressure in a kindly, caring way. And now we can bring to mind the right leg, starting at the top of the right leg and moving our attention down the right leg, all around it, to include the knee, ankle, and foot and toes of the right leg, giving it a mental massage. Now bringing to mind the left leg, starting at the top of the left leg and moving our minds down the left leg all around to include the knee, the ankle, foot and toes of the left leg, soothing and relaxing the left leg. Now bringing to mind the whole body, just sitting, however your posture is, with taking the whole body, becoming aware of the whole body, just sitting here. And now we can bring to mind someone who's been an important spiritual friend for us. It can be a monastic, a monk or a nun or a lay teacher, maybe not even a Buddhist, someone who's living or has passed away, or someone we may have come to know directly or indirectly through their teachings in books, videos, in other ways. We just bring to mind an important spiritual friend for us. And we can get in contact with a feeling that comes up when we recollect that spiritual friend. It might be joy, thanks, inspiration, or even a quality that they really embody, like Maitri or Metta, kindness. And we can fill ourselves, body and mind, from head to toe, with whatever feeling comes up when we recollect an important spiritual friend for us. We can bathe any negative states of mind we may be experiencing, not trying to get rid of them, just giving them this kind, this beautiful, positive quality feeling that hasn't been aroused by the recollecting of a spiritual friend. And we can give this feeling that has been aroused, whether it be joy, thankfulness, inspiration, whatever it is, we can give this feeling to the breath as we breathe in and breathe out. We can breathe in this feeling of joy or gratitude or inspiration, whatever it is, breathing it in and breathing it out. Breathing in this feeling and breathing it out. And if the feeling, whatever the feeling is, if it reduces, we can bring to mind the spiritual friend who originally caused it to arise. And now we can share this feeling that has arisen from recollecting the Kalyana Mitra, the good friend. The feeling of joy or thankfulness, inspiration, whatever it be. And we can share it with everyone at Kalalgoda Meditation Center. And all those who are participating online, giving this gift of the feeling we felt when recollecting an important spiritual friend in our lives. Now we can share this feeling with all those in the area around us, radiating, sharing this feeling in ever-widening circles to all beings, not just humans, to the animals, insects, reptiles, seen and unseen beings, in ever-widening circles to include the whole world and all realms of existence, giving them this gift of the feeling we experienced in the meditation. And now we can come back to ourselves and focus on that feeling that we experienced, whatever the feeling was. And we can have the aspiration to develop more good qualities of the spiritual friend, to develop more and more of this feeling we have developed during the meditation, be it joy, thankfulness, inspiration, keeping it in mind. And we can have the aspiration to share these good qualities with others, and for these good qualities to come through our speech and our actions, to be a gift to others, coming from the good qualities of our spiritual friend. And may we anchor in our hearts this feeling that has arisen, recollecting the qualities of a spiritual friend. Now we can briefly review or reflect on the meditation. How do we feel now? Or how do I feel now? Were we able to get in touch with joy or appreciation, thanks, whatever it be, arising from the good qualities of a spiritual friend? And what caused these feelings to arise? What triggered them? And now I'll ring the bell, the gong, 3 times. And on the 3rd time, if you'd like to come out of meditation. If you wish to continue, no problem at all. So for those who would like to open their eyes and relax their posture, you're welcome to. So now I would like to open up for any questions or comments from anyone, either at Kalalgoda Meditation Center or online. You're welcome to bring up a comment or a question. And it may relate to either the meditation or the talk earlier today.
Thank you, Bhante. Thank you very much for the guided meditation session. We have one question.
Yeah.
It asks, when meditating Anapanasati, should we observe our breath, or should it be more of a concentration on our breath patterns? I have often felt some degree of pressure building up in my forehead area when I concentrate on breathing. Does it have to be like that?
No, of course it doesn't have to be like that. In fact, you probably have the feeling, I would have the feeling if I got these headaches. Sometimes in Malaysia, I hear them called samadhi headaches. But it means that we're using too much force. Even, as you know, if you know Ajahn Brahm's teachings, he does not encourage the use of that word concentration, because in and of itself, it implies a degree of force. It implies a degree of trying to control things. When we try to control anything, be it the breath or our minds, we're going to get headaches. And you try and control your children, and you'll get headaches too. If if we are control freaks, it's going to be a cause for our suffering. So really, what we're interested in is a very relaxed attention. It's not forced. And as you might have gathered, I'm encouraging us to use a very positive emotion with the breath. What that does, it's a bit of interior decoration, I call it. It makes the breath more attractive and interesting, and our attention goes to it very naturally. And of course, when samadhi develops, when this quality of the mind coming together develops, this will happen naturally, that our attention will go to the breath, that there will be this pamuja, this inspiration, this gladness or joy, I think in that translation I read out before, will come up naturally, automatically, as the mind starts to leave a lot of the world behind and starts to come together. It's putting down a lot of burdens. And then this piety, this rapture it was called, or you can call it joy, whatever you wish, will arise. This energy almost feels bodily, all over the body, it can be, and then tranquility will arise quite naturally in the body and the mind. This can be when we, as it were, let go of the body. We may not be aware of the body, and then the body and the mind become tranquil, calm, and out of that, taking a holiday from the body, from the five senses, closing down to some degree, then happiness arises. Like somebody who's been doing a lot and then they stop doing it, then naturally there's sort of some happiness that comes up for them. And then from that, the mind will come together. We are not concentrating, we are not forcing the mind to come together. It comes together by itself. If we know the Dhamma, we know that this body and mind, we think we own it, we think we control it. To some degree, we have some influence over both, but it's not ours. And because of that, we're working with causes and conditions. We get the causes right, then the mind will come together. And this is really what meditation is about. It's not about controlling. If we control, if we force, if we concentrate, then that will cause tension in the body and the mind. It will be a condition that drives us away from meditation. It's not pleasant. It's not pleasant. Basically, human beings, all of us, tend towards that which is pleasant. If something's very unpleasant, we will soon desist with it. We won't. If we don't see much benefit in it, we won't do it. And this exercise is a very good example, isn't it? We often think, well, it's good for me, but we don't do it. So it's important. And with the breath, all we are really looking at is just the feeling of the breath. As Ajahn Brahm often says, it's not nose meditation, not abdomen meditation. It doesn't matter where we're aware of the breath. We're noticing just the movement of the breath. I quite like to have an idea of where it's at, where the breath is during a particular meditation. It will change from meditation to meditation, but I like that gives a bit more of an anchor to my mind. I know Ajahn Brahm often says if we have too much attention to the place, it can keep us stuck with the body rather than letting go of the body and going into the mind. Because the breath is like our transport, our vehicle that's taking us from the bodily level of experience to the mental level of experience. And in the process, letting go of the body, letting go of the five senses, and going into the mind. So into the mind that's not, busy multitasking. We don't realize it because it's so much our experience. The mind is busy, busy, busy with the six senses operating, sight, sound, smells, taste, touches, and the mental proliferation around those. Like, dislike, want to get rid of, got to do this, get more of it, whatever it is. So this is very important that we do not force the meditation. If we're getting headaches, that's a really good indication that we are trying to do the meditation. We're getting in the way, as it were. So I would really, really encourage you not to do that. You don't have to control. The breath is a very natural process. It's a perfect example of non-self, anatta or anatma. It's happening by itself. We don't have to control it. As soon as we do try to use force, try to use concentration, it will start to feel uncomfortable, natural. That's the consequence of it. But if we take our hands off the steering wheel, as it were, allow the breath to do what the breath does, and we're just passengers, then, there can be this joy coming up with the breath. Then the meditation happens by itself, which is really what meditation is. If you've gathered from that Sangha-Nissati, it's a cause and effect process the Buddha is talking about. The Lord Buddha, he's talking about not something you're controlling. Once a cause is there, a condition is there, then the next condition can arise. Once there is a source. There can be many sources for this gladness, pamudya, to arise. Then there will naturally be this piti in the mind, this rapture, sometimes called joy. There will naturally from that arise this passaddhi, this tranquility of the body and also the mind. And naturally from that tranquility, this happiness will arise. And naturally from that happiness, samadhi will arise. It's not happening because we're doing it. We're not doing it. And that's an important lesson, important Dhamma teaching, isn't it, really? When we see non-self, when we see that, well, after all, it is a process and we can, we can influence the process. The Buddha is actually influencing the process by teaching us the Dhamma. And so many things are influencing us. But when we come from the idea of controlling, we come from the idea of concentrating, forcing, what are we coming from? Self. I. What I want, how I want it. Me, mine, all that. We own this body, we own this breath. We don't. So this is a good teaching for you, but please do not concentrate, do not force it, relax. If you've heard any of Ajahn Brahm's teachings, one of the most often heard these days is relax to the max. That's what he says, doesn't he? And I think that's very true. It's a relaxed quality. Unfortunately, we often have the idea that when you relax, you go to sleep or you become extraordinarily dull. But it's not that sort of relaxation. But it's a relaxation that's not trying to control. It's a relaxation that's coming from a sense of letting go, just taking a holiday, taking a break. And when we do that, that will bring gladness and joy to the mind, which is, let's face it, it's working 24/7 almost. Well, it is working 24/7 because it's running this body, the mind and the body are operating throughout the day and night to keep this body alive. So I hope that was of use to you. And please don't concentrate. Please don't force it. And that way you won't have headaches. You will start to enjoy the meditation. You'll feel relaxed. You'll feel energized. You'll feel rejuvenated. And you'll have this gladness and joy. And maybe it will take you all the way to the samadhi, mind coming together. And then with that relaxed, powerful mind, seeing. And when we say that, it's a mind without the defilements. As the mind comes together, it jettisons the defilements, they go. And it's a pure mind, because we can't see clearly without purity of mind. Vision is obscured if any of the defilements are operating. So thank you for that question, and I hope that answer helps and maybe inspires you to not try to control, and just to watch the natural breath and realize that you're just a passenger while you're watching the breath. Nothing to do. I mean, it's easy to say that. People always want to know how to do meditation, but just to be with the breath, just to be there, not trying to make it this or that. But you can use, as I did today, a very positive emotion to give that breath extra oomph, give it extra quality that's attractive for the mind to stay with it until that natural process of samadhi starts to kick in, which it will. So thank you for that question. And so I think that's, are there any other questions?
There's one more, Bhante. I guess it's kind of related. It's now whether a person has been meditating for for many or several years, or whether it's new or otherwise, it's fairly common to hear of people being stuck in non-ideal how shall I say, states. For example, it can be, a state where, mind is going round and round, but you don't really snap out. Even if you do, it goes back into wandering, the usual problem a lot of us have seen. But even those who can get to a certain level of stillness, they get stuck in a, very calm and, decent state, but it's not joyous and it doesn't go beyond that. They are kind of in their whatever that comfort zone. It doesn't seem. So what are they kind of similar in nature in getting stuck, and what can people do to kind of move forward from that state?
Yes, I think I think you touched on it in your question there, or your comment. That there is basically not enough joy in the meditation, because when we, for instance, dull out, that can be retina meter, isn't it? Really, dulling out, then it's because there's not enough joy in the mind. There's not enough happiness in the mind. And this is why it's so important to use the Brahma Viharas, particularly any wholesome, positive emotion, to bring it up at the beginning of the meditation. Our job as meditators is, first of all, to reduce the power of the hindrances. These are the negative qualities that block, that are obstacles to the meditation. Once they're out of the way, smooth sailing, as they say. But to do that, for instance, some Maitri Bhavana is very useful. This kindness, bringing a lot of kindness to the mind. Because what we're doing when we develop any of these positive emotions, be it Maitri, be it Karuna, compassion, be it joy for other people's happiness, which is mudita, or equanimity, which I call acceptance of others, acceptance of ourselves. When we develop these positive emotions, what we're doing is actually reducing the power of the negative ones. And in that way, we can give some joy to the meditation. And when I was doing this guided meditation, it was really trying to couple this positive emotion, a wholesome emotion, with the meditation object. It's a bit like trainer wheels. Once the meditation takes off, we don't need to worry about that. But initially, we need to give it a bit more oomph. And this is where inspiration is so important. And of course, for some people too, it can be Buddha Nusati, reflecting or recollecting the qualities of the Buddha, the Dhamma, the Sangha. It can be recollecting our generosity. This is Chaga Nusati. And it can be recollecting, the goodness of our conduct, of body and speech in particular, but also of mind. And that, anything that brings up that sort of joy. Quite often what I use, if you have someone in mind that has a very good quality, and it connects with you, and it brings up a feeling, that can be a good source to begin with. Gratitude is a great way to overcome a lot of negative emotions. When we bring to mind someone that we're very grateful to, that has made a difference in our lives, and that feeling actually is purifying the mind temporarily. It's allowing the defilements to reduce and bringing up this positive emotion. Our jobs often are to really inspire ourselves, use these positive emotions to really give the energy to the mind, because these positive emotions are energy. And any dullness in the mind obviously is an indicator, low energy, low energy. And any negative states, it's obviously going in the reverse way. Because the Dhamma, we all know the Dhamma is about developing the wholesome and abandoning the unwholesome. So letting go of it, avoiding it. And not only developing the wholesome, but maintaining it too. That's the four right efforts. So I would suggest, we've got to be creative with bringing up these positive emotions, ways that we can bring them up to power our meditation. And, you know, that whole idea of refuge can do that too for us, you know, giving the stability to the mind, you know, and giving the energy, or giving rise to faith, which can give the energy for our practice. So, you know, these are various ways we can do it. We can use chanting too. Sometimes chanting can bring up energy and inspiration. And we can listen to inspiring talks. Any of these means, whatever works for each of us is and brings up a wholesome state of mind that we can, as it were, use in the meditation. That is useful, and that's the way we can overcome some of these feeling of being stuck. Another aspect of feeling being stuck can be just the wanting mind. You know, I expected to be much further than this than I am. Why am I not experiencing first jhana or second jhana or one of the stages of insight, or etc., etc. So that can be another aspect of it, because we are habituated to, we have the habit of expecting, you know, things, of wanting things to progress in a particular way. We haven't got the notion that contentment is not such an easy quality for us to develop, because it's not one that's promoted in our societies, because we're always trying to improve ourselves, our situations, whatever it be. And that sounds quite natural. But sometimes just to be content with where we are can take us, as Ajahn Brahm will often say, deeper into the present moment, bringing up these wholesome qualities. So this can be another aspect of it, our expectations, you know, driving it. But always the fuel for our meditation is positive, wholesome emotions. I know the Ayakema used to call the Brahma Viharas the four supreme emotions. It's a lovely sort of a title for it. It's four supreme emotions. Very good. So that's what I would say to that question, Rohanta, and I hope that helps a bit. You've probably heard this sort of thing before, but it's always revolves around developing the causes and conditions for energy in the mind, joy in the mind, and having a creative approach to it. So I hope that's helped a little bit. And is that all the questions for this? Yeah.
Yes, thank you, Bhante. That's all.
I will now, if you would like, I'll do a dedication of merit for the retreat today. I'll do a bit of chanting, but if you'd like, and the dedication of merit is, of course, it's pin. When we dedicate merit, it's goodness that we have developed. We want goodness through our body, speech, and mind. Today, more mind, but that is very powerful, because that's where everything's coming from. It's the conditioning factor for speech and for action. And when we dedicate merit, we call it pin denawa. When we dedicate merit, we're dedicating it to those that have passed away. I often say, hopefully they don't need it, but it's lovely if we can bring to mind those that have passed away, relatives, friends, and others, and offer them. We say denawa, so it's like give, but dedicate it to them, but also to those that are living, who are having issues in their lives. And there are many issues, aren't there? There's health, there's finance, there's the family, relationships, job, you name it, there are. And so this positive energy, this good, the power of goodness can help with these situations, keeping those people in mind. And in particular today, I would like to dedicate merit to Venerable German Jnana Ramata Mahatero, who passed away on the 1st of January, so it's really a little bit late. because this 3-month death anniversary will have been the 1st of March, won't it? 1st of March. So I dedicate Meriti to the Venerable German Nissarano. I mentioned him in my last talk in, I think, in December. He hadn't passed away then. And also for Jayanath Waru Savitarana's father, who passed away, I think in the 2nd of March, something like that, last year. So it's 1 year for Jayanath's father. So for those who'd like to join in with this chanting, you're welcome. And if not, just to think of giving a gift of this merit to those that have passed away and those that are living, that are having difficulties, problems in their lives. Etavata cha amhe sambatam punya sampadam samme deva anumodantu samma sampatti sindhya. Etavata cha amhe sambatam punya sampadam samme buddha anumodantu samma sampatti sindhya. Etavata cha amhe sambatam punya sampadam samme satta anumodantu samma sampatti sindhya. Akasata cha bhumata devanaga mahindika punyang tang anumoditva chirang rakantu sasanam. Akasata chamumata devanaga mahindika punyang tang anumoditva chirang rakantu desanam. Akasata chamumata devanaga mahindika punyang tang anumoditva chirang rakantu mang paranti. Idang vonyati nang hotu sukita hontu nyatayo. Idang vonyati nang hotu sukita hontu nyatayo. Idang vonyati nang hotu sukita hontu nyatayo. May you abide in well-being, in freedom from affliction, in freedom from hostility, in freedom from ill will, in freedom from anxiety, and may you maintain well-being in yourselves. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. So thank you for watching this and for participating in the retreat today at Kalalgoda, Bhavana Majestani. Wonderful, sadhu for that. And hopefully you're there for next month, sorry. And there are more people that are able to come. So I'll say good afternoon to all of you. It's getting close to your finish time. I think you're finishing in about 15 minutes. So all the best. Ajahn Nissarano.